Successful livestock farm management secrets. Almost all the livestock farmers that I know love working under the sun, taking care of their animals and running their own autonomous farm businesses. Despite the numerous challenges they face, most wouldn't trade this with any other occupation, because farming has become a part of them, as much as they have become a part of the land. But the ugly truth is that today most livestock farmers aren't earning enough profits from their farm. Do you agree? Yes, increasing global competition, production costs and environmental uncertainties all eat up into your profit margins, but there are a few things under your control that can help you run a successful and profitable livestock farm business. The first is competitive advantage. In business, there's something called a barrier to entry. In practical terms, it means how much effort, learning and investment is needed to replicate a particular business. To further understand barriers to entry, let's look at a fictional example. Let's look at a third generation dairy farmer in rural Australia on 236 hectares of inherited farmland who farms 250 dairy cows and sells milk to the biggest cooperative in the country. Now imagine that someone else also wants to do the same thing. What do they need to do to enter the same farm business? The competitor needs to figure out how to get some land, cows, farming knowledge and the ability to sell milk. Which of these are hard to obtain? Yes, the land is costly today, but one can still get good lease land deals even today in rural areas. So that's easy to figure out. Yes, buying cows requires a lot of money, but it's not a showstopper. Some savings and a bank loan can take care of that. Nor is it hard to figure out how to sell the milk to a dairy cooperative. In my opinion, the hard-won knowledge about farming animals in that particular region, acquired over several decades and generations, is the hardest to replace. But even that can be addressed to an extent if the competitor hires good farm hand and advisors. In other words, our fictional dairy farmer is running a business that has low barriers to entry, a business that anyone with access to some capital can replicate easily, and that's all bad news. So don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that all dairy farm businesses can't be successful. I'm only saying that any business that can easily be replicated cannot be successful for long. That's just how economic systems work. So a critical question then becomes how to increase the barriers to entry, or even better, how to gain an unfair competitive advantage that isn't easy to replicate. If you dig deep enough, you'll realise that all successful businesses across industries have at least one competitive advantage that cannot easily be replicated. It could be their IP, scalable low cost of production system, or in some cases even high value processor relationships. Maybe our fictional farmer also begins to think on these lines. Maybe they choose to adopt low cost pasture-based production systems as their competitive advantage. Or maybe they choose to move up the value chain and make gourmet cheese out of their milk, or maybe they ditch the cooperative and affiliate themselves with a startup that helps them sell directly to local consumers. As you can see, there are no perfect or right answers here. Each decision comes with its own set of pros and cons. However, the central point remains to be true. To be successful, you need to nail down your unfair competitive advantage over the others, and figuring that out is any business owner's biggest creative challenge. I hope you figure out yours soon. Next, or the second topic, is the profit compass. If you're running a business on planet Earth today, you're in business for profits. If not, you're running a hobby, a costly hobby maybe, but nevertheless still a hobby, because any business without profits isn't a serious business. Imagine for a moment that you're an explorer, such as a business owner in the uncharted territory of your market, trying to locate a treasure trove of success. Without a compass pointing north toward profits, you would quickly get lost among the trees and come across some serious obstacles known as problems of the land. In other words, profit is the yardstick, true north and guiding star of your business. all decisions need to be taken with respect to how they affect your profits. So measure everything that affects your profit margins. And I mean everything. This includes your pasture, animal feed intakes, production, labour and all other operational expenses. You may not like to do certain things. You may not like measuring your pasture growth every week. You may not like to record farm inputs or grazing events. You may not like to analyse which pastures need how much fertiliser or irrigation. Yet you have to get all of this done. Because running a successful business isn't just about adoring the animals you love or doing the outdoor work you love. It is about being disciplined enough to do what is important. And profits are as important a thing as it gets in the world of business. A savvy business owner or manager is always aware of 3 data points. 1, your cost of production, 2, your profit margin, and 3, what your market pays. No one other than you will know those data points. Sure, others might have opinions, but they are often meaningless because others won't know what profit margins you require. For instance, if you've taken on debt, your margins need to be able to pay that off eventually. And because only you will know your true cost of production. For instance, a period of drought can significantly increase your production costs. So the point again is that you need to measure everything that affects your profit margins. You absolutely need to know this, down to the last cent. Once you know this, you'll quickly be able to differentiate the profit-making activities from the big burners. Only then would you be in a better position to address the big resource drains. After all, why not focus your efforts elsewhere, where you're not getting better results? Now, thirdly is cash flow reality. Did you know that profitable businesses can also go out of business or even get bankrupt? I know this doesn't sound right, but it's true. Several businesses that had attractive profits have gone bankrupt. Why? Because of poor cash flow management, because they couldn't cough up enough cash when they needed it the most. Think repaying debt or paying staff salaries. Sounds crazy, right? Let me put it to you this way. So let's say you started a beef cattle farm. Your pasture-fed beef gets a lot of positive feedback and reviews, and maybe a well-known local retailer or butcher wants to partner with you. All good so far. But the only catch is that the retailer wants 5 times more produce than what you can currently offer. What do? It's a lucrative and profitable deal. Why give up such an opportunity? So you take a deep breath, borrow additional debt, and scale up your production to meet the demand. But quickly you realise that your low-cost pasture-based production system doesn't work any longer at this scale. So you buy additional hay and feed it to supplement your pasture. All in all, the additional costs of debt, feed and increased production begin to suck you dry. Eventually, unable to repay salaries and the debt, the farmer is forced to sell all their animals before maturity at a big loss. Maybe they are even forced to sell some of their assets to repay everything. Let's stop this nightmare right now, but you get my drift, right? It doesn't matter that you have a huge profitable payout waiting for you in the end. You need to first get there alive, don't you? So a profitable business can also go bankrupt if cash flow isn't managed well. When you don't have healthy positive cash flows, you're already on edge, and what happens if there's a calamity such as a theft, fire or flood? You're doomed. On the other hand, with better cash flow management, reserves and surpluses, you might be in a better position to deal with such calamities. And as we both know, such unexpected losses are bound to happen at some point in time because that's how nature works. That's why cash flows are as important as your competitive advantage and profit margins. And that's why the old adage of cash is king still rings true across the business world even today. That wraps up the 3 farm business management secrets that I wanted to share with you. I hope this was useful, but even more importantly, I hope that you take action and apply what you learned in your farm business. If you're interested to learn more about understanding the finances of your farm business, consider reading our free farm management guide. We wrote this to help livestock farmers like you to manage your farm businesses more effectively. If you have any questions, please do leave them as a comment below, and I promise to answer them. Until we meet again, happy farming.